and, just numbing the brain. And you came up with a list that I thought was pretty fantastic. I gotta say, it is impressive, my man. It is. This is the roadmap to health. And for the audio only listeners who are there, listening to this on podcasts, on Spotify. Remember, this is mainly an audio podcast. We are on Rumble. We are on YouTube. But if you aren't downloading the audio podcast, then you're not joining the fun. And the roadmap to health as a man, we'll start with list 1. These are practical steps. Why'd you start it out with quitting porn?
Because I believe porn is one of the ultimate masculinity destroyers, and particularly for men right now. I think it basically conditions the mindset to choose pleasure over pain and discomfort. And if you compound that over time, it gets really ugly. The fact that the default mode, if you're bored at home, or whether you just want to like give yourself a cheap dopamine hit, like porn is just so accessible. And I think I could go on a tangent around not only does it stop you from being disciplined and being dedicated, but it also then distorts your reality of women. Like there's a whole myriad of awful issues that come from watching porn consistently and doing that a lot. And I'm a big advocate of getting rid of it.
What do you define as porn? I mean, is this like, I bring up this example, right? I've recently started unfollowing a bunch of meme pages on Instagram because they do these collab posts. And the boys, you're listening to this, y'all know what the hell I'm talking about. It's like some ad for some girl's page for some OnlyFans. It's basically nudity. It's sexual. It's like sex with clothes on, and they have this ad. I mean, hey, I'm not faulting the meme pages. You got to pay the bills. But it's like, what is the standard of porn, right? I mean, like, do you define that as sexual intercourse, nudity, OnlyFans, TikTok, following hot model chicks? Like, where do you draw the line?
Well, I mean, classically, it's the more graphic sense, isn't it? It's like Pornhub, like the sexual. But I think there'd be a good argument for getting into, like, if you're filling your Instagram feeds with models or women that are in bikinis, and you're looking at that all the time, you are creating your reality. And what that's going to do is lull you into this false sense of security that you're going to find women that are like that, and women do those things. And it's just, that is so superficial. It is not reality. So I think there's a good argument for what you mentioned there around actually that transcending into model pictures, nude photos, anything that's kind of glorifying something that just it isn't comparable to real life.
I do agree. And I know you're not claiming to be a scientist, but like, how much do you agree with the statement that other people make about how like ejaculation drains energy, or as the rappers say, when I come to my senses? I mean, like, do you throw masturbation into this? Like, where is the energy and the mind like getting sucked from? Is it the graphicness? Is it the addictive behavior? Is it the coming itself? Like, where are we getting our masculinity lowered through this action?
I think it's all of those things. I think it's like your the masturbation, consistent masturbation is not healthy for mindset. And I mean, scientifically, I know that there's a study that shows if you don't masturbate, there was an increase of testosterone by like 40% in a week, and then it started to taper off. But just subjectively, just from my own like personal experience, putting the science to one side, I find that the longer I go without masturbating, the easier that I find discipline, the easier that I find consistency. Like all of these difficult traits that we find hard to muster up become so much easier. And I think what porn does is it's a catalyst in if the default setting when you're in your day, or you get back after a hard day at work, or you've got some free time at home, if it's to just go on porn and rub one out, if that over time, like every now and again, there's a better case. But if that becomes consistent, you're ingraining that into your routine, and that becomes a part of your identity, and that then starts corrupting the dopamine, the reward systems, all of the rest of those things that we need, particularly as men, we rely on to get up and get going and really help kind of spark fuel behind a healthy masculinity. And I just think porn is really trying to corrupt that, and we need that right now, particularly right now, because I feel like masculinity is kind of under siege right now, and I think it's getting a lot of unhealthy press. And I think, as you mentioned before, with generations coming through, I think with TikTok and being on screens, outside of just porn and just looking at 30-second reels and getting information through the ways that we are, I think it's creating this very, I think, ugly abyss. And I'm concerned about the future, with people being able to divert their attention intentionally and being conscious around the decisions they're making, rather than being at the mercy of their phones and their screens and distraction. Yeah.
So this is a personal opinion from you. How true do you feel like the statement is, though, with the reality? Like, let's say you're banging your girlfriend, your fiance, your wife, and of course, I know a lot of the base is Christian, so a lot of people would say those are morally wrong behaviors. But let's just go bluntly scientifically, right? With the female, some of y'all are gay, probably too, but let's just stick to the females here on this regard. If you're having sex, some sports players talk about the fact that they literally don't have sex before games. I don't even know if that's true. I've just heard that, around, or people like don't have sex to focus. The Bible also talks about, for the Christian audience, that one of the only times it actually permits abstaining from sex and not having sex with your wife or your wife and your husband is if you do it for prayer, basically for focus, and connection, and to set your heart on spiritual things. So from your perspective, I mean, like, is it sex in general? Like, should we be having a different, direction? Because I know a lot of guys are like, well, I just look at porn because, I don't have a hot chick to bang. And that's literally what I hear all the time. Almost be easy not to look at porn because you're married, which is objectively an untrue statement. And that's been proven scientifically. That doesn't really change. It's a drug. It's an addiction. It's a problem. Like, how much should we be focusing on sex overall? How much should that be a priority? And does it distract us when we're just like putting our energy into that, even when it's, morally correct, or it's with an actual person?
But I think, but when it's real and it's with a partner, or it's with someone that you have a connection with, I think that's a very different kettle of fish. And I think that's what concerns me about porn in this culture that we're going into, is it's kind of like objectifying women and objectifying a very kind of deep and meaningful experience, right? I think if men were conditioned to understand that sex is just an extension of being able to bond and connect better with your partner or whoever it is, I think that'd be far more powerful, rather than seeing women like we do in porn, where they're, being, I guess it depends on what type you watch, but usually it's just a very superficial, not real way of doing it, whether it's aggressive or whatever angle they might take on that. And I think it's kind of undermining the connection between the masculine and the feminine right now. And I think that will have grave consequences if that's then conditioned into a young, impressionable mind. That will get worse and worse. So, but I definitely think rather than masturbating to pixels on a screen, if you've got something real, that's just a very different kettle of fish, because that's conducive to what's reality, as opposed to, if you're on a screen or masturbating it to pixels, that's just not ancestrally consistent with anything we've ever done in our history. And I feel like whenever the advent of porn or this came out, I think it's just corrupted that. And I think we need to start advocating more the other way, if that makes sense.
Guys, obviously things are getting out of control. As we saw, the world is insane. I never saw any place more insane than New York. The prices of gas were insane. We're seeing the stock market crash. Literally, people are losing up to $40,000, $50,000 of their net worth. I've been watching this. My friends have been telling me, you thought crypto losses were bad? Wait till you see what the feds are doing. People can't even afford homes. It feels to me like we are in 2008 all over again. I am frustrated and you are frustrated because the dollar is losing up to 46% of its value over the last few years in the recessions. And it's like, how do I secure my investments, my savings, my retirement when I can't control the world? And it's like every leader is trying to screw us over. Price of oil is quadrupling. You can't even afford groceries. I just read today people are cutting back on their grocery bills by up to 25%, and we need a solution. That's why I'm happy to let you know that my friends at Goldco have found a way that we can invest in our future, protect our savings by investing in gold and silver. Now, if you're like, why? Well, guess what? Last time there was this financial crisis and everything was falling apart, the price of gold shot up 1,300%. Legitimately. It's insane, but it's not even more insane than the fact that it's true and that silver skyrocketed over 2,400%. So if history repeats itself, we could definitely see this happen again. I know you cannot afford to miss this, and I cannot afford to what could be the biggest gold and silver boom of our generation, which is why you want to reach out to our friends at Goldco who created a special offer for the slightly offensive backers. Right now, pull out your phone. Get it ready. Write this down. Call 855-242-4758 because you don't want to wait till it's too late. Call 855-242-4758 because when you do, you're not only going to get the chance to protect your retirement savings with gold and silver. Check this out. You can get up to $10,000 or more in free silver just for doing it. This is a rare opportunity, so don't miss what could be your best opportunity to protect your retirement savings. Call 855-242-4758. That's 855-242-4758. Don't wait until it's too late, guys. Don't forget to click the link in the description. Contact them, let them know, and invest in your future. Protect your family, protect those around you, and please, slightly offensive backers, SOBs, know Goldco supports the show. They support you, and they want you to be secure in your future. So do not wait. Actually check it out and reach out to them. Let's jump into this.